Hello there, this is Critical from Critical Media, just taking a look at the 2025 Omnibus reprint of The Spectre, The Wrath of the Spectre. Mainly from Gardner Fox, really just a 60s run, and Mike Fleischer pretty much doing a majority of the 70s to late 80s stories. And yes, you will get other artists, so you'll get Murphy Anderson, you'll get Neal Adams, and a lot of Jim Aparo. He was definitely on this character quite a bit. And what we usually do with this channel is give you an idea of what to expect if you ever come across these books in the wild. So we go over the exterior, some bonus material, art and plot points, and then a brief review at the end. Now yes, as mentioned, this is a reprint, and to be honest, I've always kind of vibed with this character. When I was first getting into comics in college, this character was very much in tune with one of the most important stories I read at that time, which was Kingdom Come. Him and Norm McKay and all that. But also, through that same Kingdom Come story, I learned a huge appreciation for this type of character, but also the Phantom Stranger. So maybe just a quick little bit of advice. If you already kind of have interest in the Spectre, highly recommend you read the Phantom Stranger as well. Very similar kind of storytelling, and you'll definitely get the same kind of vibe. It'll be right up your alley. But in any case, back to the nature of this channel. At least walking around the exterior here. Yes, it is a Jim Aparo cover design. Definitely love what they did here because it has several kind of effects to it. So yeah, it just has your typical dust jacket material, but as I'm holding it up to the light, you can kind of see that the character profile is actually a gloss design. So it actually does have that kind of unique aesthetic to it. An awesome and very prominent spine cover. Love the way it blends in. And a very popping rear on the back here, so definitely appreciate that. And underneath the dust jacket, yeah, they did go with a gloss finish in this case. So yes, again, very poignant. Again, you got some Jim Aparo right there. The spine pretty much following suit, but I love how the cape kind of extends to the exterior here. This was one of those wider cover designs, right? So pretty much appreciate when they do those kind of splash designs, and it works so well. So very much appreciative of that. Now in terms of bonus material, there is an introduction in the beginning, but admittedly, when it comes to the bonus material, it really is just these galleries. So nothing too crazy, but still awesome nonetheless. So there's the same hardback design. Yeah, you are getting a lot of Jim Aparo. Like I said, he's pretty much all over this book. Pretty awesome work nonetheless. Man, I will say, they definitely make the Spectre pretty gangster, that's for sure. And yeah, there you go. Yeah, Murphy Anderson getting his love, at least on the back there. I'm surprised they didn't put his name on the front of the book, though. But in terms of, yes, art and plot points, in truth, yeah, you really are getting pretty much the 60s return of the character, because he was on hiatus from the Golden Age until the Silver Age. And then you're getting pretty much a lot of those Brave and the Bolds. By the way, I just wanted to stop here because I always loved this cover by Nick Cardy. I don't know, it's always just, it always has a great bit of effect to it. Yes, the line design, of course, but just how prominent, how intimidating the character looks. He almost has these Spider-Man-esque kind of eyes to them. So yeah, that's the artist Nick Cardy. Very much appreciative of that. And yeah, you're kind of seeing what I mean with the table of contents. So yeah, it pretty much has the Gardner Fox and Murphy Anderson run, reintroducing the character during the Silver Age. Then it has a few of those, I guess, Brave and the Bolds, and a little bit of the tying between the 60s and 70s with Neal Adams. Actually, Neal Adams was writing this story as well, so very much impressed by that. But pretty much there comes a point where, yeah, Michael Fleischer, he just takes over the book completely. And yeah, it's pretty much the remainder of the entirety, pretty much. You will get other writers like Denny O'Neil and Paul Kupperburg and whatnot, but nonetheless, it's pretty impressive work. Personally, my favorite story of the whole book is from Denny O'Neil. Go figure, people. For those of you returning to the channel, you probably know my love for Denny O'Neil. But in any case, yeah, as mentioned, it does somewhat start off with a return to the character, as it even mentions on the cover here. So yeah, he kind of went on hiatus because of the whole Comic Code Authority and how you had to play fast and loose with this kind of subject matter. And yeah, it's basically reintroducing the character while within the moment, right? So it kind of does a media res approach, where it kind of explains that the Spectre basically became paralyzed when another similar entity also invaded our world. So as the Spectre is like the spirit of vengeance on behalf of the Voice, aka God, essentially. Basically the devil's version of the Spectre. I believe his name is Asmodus or Asmodus. He's basically the reason why you didn't see the Spectre for so long. And that's pretty much what this tale imbues. Yeah, there's that same clash there. And what this issue really does is it just kind of outlines just how powerful and how much greater a level that the Spectre operates on. Like most superheroes, like let's put it this way, like Superman and whatnot, they deal with, very terrestrial problems. The Spectre deals with such grandiose problems. And he's damn near omnipotent, like that's how powerful he truly is. This guy's picking up universes and throwing them at each other and all that. Like, that's how big a scale this battle becomes, And that's like a constant with the Spectre. It's not so much that he's always trying to show off how powerful he is. It's always that like dichotomy of how powerful he is and how, normal Jim Corrigan is as a, lieutenant detective. So it's always like that. Forgive me, I think he's a captain detective. But nonetheless, yes, the early stories are predominantly by Gardner Fox, so they definitely have that old school appeal and old school design. As a matter of fact, the first two stories kind of lead into that kind of flow, the same storyline I was mentioning. So definitely appreciate that they go on that tip. But one of my favorite kind of splashes is this here. I swear that Carmine Infantino was definitely involved with this, because this is something that he would do, especially with the whole arrows thing. Where, you see an elevator drop and it kind of just gives you a display of what some of the many powers of the Spectre, his shape shifting and all that jazz. Where, yeah, the elevator's falling, he can literally catch it and just shrink down just to make it go down, make the elevator come down with ease, So definitely appreciate that kind of stuff. But yeah, like it's usually dealing with the occult and, a lot of supernatural flair to it, right? So yeah, you will get a lot of like demonology or that kind of divine horror, so to speak. It's weird how the Spectre has always been a character where anytime he deals with magic, he dummies it. He just deals with it no problem. Whenever it's a divine threat, now he's got to deal with it in a different way. But yes, as they were trying to reintroduce the character, they're trying to popularize him, of course, by doing these Brave and the Bold stories. So yeah, the first one's with the Flash or Phantom Flash. I will admit this is a very underwhelming story because the Flash is barely in it. He's really just a foil. He has like no sense of self. He's basically He's basically body snatched. That's the kind of story this is. But still, I kind of appreciate the subject matter. Basically dealing with a World War II pilot and, the whole concept of cowardice or, duty, regardless of what you feel. Sometimes you still got to do your duty kind of thing. But probably one of the more prominent introductions is, of course, when he's paired with Batman. And at least in this case, you get a definite appreciation that Batman and Jim Corrigan seem to have a certain familiarity with each other. Yeah, it makes sense. They're both detectives, right? Except when he's the Spectre, now he's more of like a spiritual detective, right? So nonetheless, it's pretty damn awesome. He's kind of like the Wraith detective, you could say. He solves more of the supernatural kind of mysteries. But it's pretty awesome. This whole narrative with Chinatown and lore around this character, Shanzi. Very intriguing. And once again, a legit threat. You will get several pairings of Batman and the Spectre. But the one thing that comes across is that Batman is often almost a inconsequential factor to it. It's almost always going to be about the Spectre, because he's going to be the one who ultimately saves the day, right? It's not to say Batman ain't no slouch, but it's still appreciative nonetheless. But yeah, as you're kind of going through this series, yeah, you're going to reintroduce to certain characters, like, yes, some JSA members. Definitely appreciate like the love they give to Wildcat in this one. Yeah, you almost never see Wildcat these days, but definitely love the art aesthetic and the approach to this particular narrative. Very awesome. Awesome kinetics, actually, as usual with Wildcat. While he may not have like the most grandiose powers or anything, he's just a brawler. It does give a great excuse for great kinetics to be on display, so definitely appreciate that much about him. But now we're getting a little bit closer to, some of my favorite stuff. So maybe just to give you this splash page here. This is mainly a Neal Adams-centric story. And man, this is the one with that kid who gets possessed. Yeah, forgive me, Hamilton something. I forget. Hamilton Lewis, I believe. I could be wrong, but I know his name's Hamilton something. But anywho, I just like the ideas and kind of the very, I guess, what flamboyant art style that you get to see from Neal Adams here. Very awesome work. Very colorful and very of the times. This is like late 60s, so makes sense. It has that kind of flair to it. But yeah, you're getting interesting design work and almost painstaking. It almost makes me wonder sometimes where these artists really got these designs and had the time to be able to produce all these. It's very impressive work. But anywho, at least going through it here, yeah, you're getting just more and more awesome kind of stories here. If you were ever a fan of that DC Showcase animated Spectre show, I kind of think of it like this. You know how folks have the voice of Batman being Kevin Conroy when they read? For me, for the Spectre, I always hear Gary Cole, the guy who did the voice in that same animated film. And you will actually get a lot of that referencing in this narrative as well. And there's that same awesome cover I mentioned earlier from Nick Cardy. So damn awesome. I love that particular page. But aside from that, one of my favorite things about this book is that, yes, it has the Denny O'Neil issue. So yes, this issue particularly, done by Denny O'Neil, it deals with a concept where the Spectre took it upon himself to cast judgment, so he didn't wait on God or whomever to give him his orders. He just took justice into his own hands and just basically killed somebody. So it's dealing with the ramifications of that. He gets depowered by God, essentially. Pretty heavy narrative there. But yeah, he was so upset over this guy being such a coward trying to shoot Jim Corrigan in the back that he just flipped. And he just straight up murdered this guy. And yeah, that's kind of the whole dichotomy and the kind of concepts that are going through. And because it's Denny O'Neil, it's super awesome, like ground that's covered. Like you're really getting a lot of stratas of the human condition through that particular story. So very awesome work, man. Denny O'Neil, every time. That man's like literally the reason why like comic books really do truck along, right? After all, even today, the version of Batman we read, it's his version, right? But this particular issue, it has one of my favorite parts in it. It has one of his of the Spectre's big catchphrases in it. And man, I absolutely love this one. Where is it there? Is it this page? My apologies. It's basically the Spectre's great line where it's like, in the land beyond the living, all things are possible. Anytime somebody says that's impossible, that's always his rebuttal. Batman will say it to him. Other characters will say it to him. Even in that DC animated movie, that's the line that resonates one of the most, right? In the land beyond the living, all things are possible. And that's pretty much part and parcel for the character, right? But man, it was super awesome work. And yes, now we're kind of going into way more of the Mike Fleischer and Jim Aparo work. And man, I love this particular issue. It deals with like this. It's kind of difficult to describe this guy, but he's basically a black magician, and he somehow revived mannequins. But you're getting a lot of like body horror and pretty vicious kind of action here. Like this woman who tries to kill him, and the Spectre just rips her to pieces. He only realizes after that she's a mannequin, but that's what he was willing to do to her. Like holy crap. That's what I mean by like the Spectre sometimes doesn't play around. Like if you did something wrong, he goes full out and wipes you out, clear cut, right? So man, just super awesome to see. And yeah, there's that famous line again, another pairing of Batman and the Spectre, but there's that favorite line of mine. Man, I love that every time I hear it. The land beyond the living, all things are possible. I'm sorry I keep saying it, but I don't know why, it just always resonates with me so well. But yeah, yet another story where it's funny in this narrative that, forgive me, Jim Gordon, of course, the commissioner of Gotham, he's constantly like making fun of Jim Corrigan, thinking that he's just a scrub detective, when in fact he was on it all along kind of thing, right? I love that kind of aspect to that narrative there. Super awesome. But now comes one of the most prominent issues in this entire book. It's the one with Len Wein and Jim Starlin. So yes, where no Superman has gone before. It kind of comes off the heels of another Superman story where this is like when Superman was first dealing with Warworld, and something happens, an explosion happens, it sends Supergirl careening through space so fast that she can't be caught. So Superman's trying to catch her, and he's flying faster and faster and faster, even beyond infinity, to the point where he reaches something that he shouldn't see. So the Spectre just appears and stops him. And what I like about this issue is it kind of goes through the arrogance of Superman thinking he could do anything regardless of the rules or whatnot. As long as he has righteous indignation, he can do anything he wants. But the Spectre, he checks him and reminds him, hey, listen, buddy, there's some things beyond your understanding or beyond your allowance to do. And Superman realizes right away he is far from the strongest being. I mean, in the same issue, even Superman references Martian Manhunter being stronger than him. But as you're kind of seeing here, the Spectre just literally toys with him like he's nothing. But a very humbling story. Again, I almost feel like this issue, aside from, showing that power scaling between the Spectre and Superman, it's more of like just an understanding that just because you have the means to do something doesn't mean you should, And it's a very humbling issue, that's for sure. Dealing with a lot of different, not just, among superhero conditions, but the human condition in general. But don't worry, it does end in a pretty nice fashion. Very, very cathartic, let's just put it that way. But super awesome to see nonetheless. And yeah, I guess honestly, this is an awesome Omni. Even this final story here, or should I say among the final stories, with the reference to Dr. 13, a character who shows up in The Phantom Stranger a lot. And that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. If you like the Spectre, I highly recommend The Phantom Stranger, or at least sampling it, because you will get a very familiar vibe if you're already into this kind of narrative. But man, honestly, they really did map this very well. Although I do have one thing to say. The book itself is pretty short. It's like not even 700 pages. So at least you won't have to worry about gutter loss or anything like that. But the one thing I almost wish they did was they included at least his Golden Age run, because it's not that much material, and they probably could have fit it in here. But hey, that's just me being nitpicky. After all, this is a book that was already offered years ago, so this is a reprint. But nonetheless, it's just my own little 2 cents about it. Still a strong book, excellently priced, at least as of making this video. And honestly, I would give it 2 thumbs up, definitely worthy of your library, that's for sure. But that's just my own opinion. Hopefully you guys have your own, and I wouldn't mind seeing your comments down below as always. And in that respect, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day.